Welcome back to another episode, everyone. Today I'm inside of the Orlando store. Pentagon is right behind me. I got Josh next to me, and we're going to be talking all about fish today. We're going to be talking about fish in this tank, fish in other tanks, fish only tanks, diseases, quarantine, type of fish. I guess I got to learn a lot more about fish, so who better than to grab than Josh? It's always starting. So, what's up, Josh?
What's up, Vic?
Let's do it, man. It's been a while. It's been a couple months since we haven't sit down and talk.
It's a good spot.
We've been running around a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's been busy here. I mean, just running the business, finishing the 4,000, which, by the way, we got some good news. An update coming in about 2 weeks, a good one. We got tons of corals, tons of fish, but I'll let you guys see the video anyhow. So where do we start, Josh?
Well, I mean, we sit here, so it's cool to talk about what's in front of us. I think a lot of the times we talk about fish like they're there for a purpose,
Yeah.
but the truth is a lot of the people that come into the hobby, they get into it because of the fish, right?
You know what? It's funny you say that. For some reason, the fish was never a thing to me.
No.
It was always course. For me, I don't know if you remember, but I had my 65-gallon with no fish.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It didn't have no fish. And then I had that little 3 pico on my desk. Then it turned into a 6-gallon, I think, and it had no fish as well.
Yep.
So that goes to prove that you can keep a reef tank without fish. They're beneficial. You got the workers like we were talking about. Fish have a purpose, right?
I think so. I mean, that's a lot of the reason why we have any fish in our tanks here, period, is because they're there to do a job.
And if they don't do a job, we call them, we use their poop to feed the corals, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they got to do something in there. They can't just sit in there looking pretty. So one of the favorite fish that I'm seeing here is the clown tang. He's one of your favorite, isn't it?
He is my favorite fish, actually.
You put one in your 125 in your office. How's that going?
He's cool. He's actually, everybody kind of said he was going to be the aggressor, but that black tang he's nasty.
So funny you say that. When it comes to aggression on tanks, who would you say are the worst?
When it comes to initial aggression, like if they've not even been established in the tank, usually zebra soma. So yellow tangs, purple tangs, gem tangs, sailfin tangs, they're almost always aggressive right from the beginning.
From the beginning.
You've got fish like powder blues, powder browns, Achilles. They tend to be pretty nasty too, but they're malicious. They want to kill. Yeah.
You remember the lavender tang?
Of course I do.
That thing is vicious.
I mean, it's the same genus as the clown tang. So it's a Canthurus.
Yeah.
So you're gonna find most of those like streamlined bodies. If the fish looks like it can swim fast, there's a really good chance that it's a really aggressive fish.
But why do they get such a bad reputation? This fish has never bothered no one. You think because he's got enough space, he's happy with the amount of food, the water
You're talking
quality.
about the clown tang?
Yeah.
He's pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you watch, there's a whole dynamic here. This big flamingi, he keeps everybody in check. So as soon as they start going at one another, he kind of swims in between and breaks up the brawl, so to speak.
So let me take that back. If we can reach out to put right now in this part of the video a clip, we have a little short that we put a GoPro inside this tang, and the actual clown tang attacked the GoPro.
I forgot about that.
So I guess I'll take that back that he's so friendly, guys,
Yeah.
So we got a lot of tanks in here. What do you like about tanks the most? That's my favorite fish, personally.
I like them because they're big. Generally speaking, it becomes kind of a focal point. When you think about fish, you're either thinking about a ball of fish or you're thinking about a fish. So if it's big, it's kind of a focal point. And the fact that they do a good job cleaning up algae for us, it's like a personality. They live a good amount of time. They do a lot of work.
We have had the black tang in Casper in the 1,500-gallon tank. Those fish been with us for...
The black tang longer, right? They came
Yeah,
from
Casper
Jacob?
is 14 years. The black tang is since 2008. It's been to 3 different owners. That fish broke out an egg maybe 3 times, like severely.
He's still, if you go look at him today, he's probably got 2 or 3
But
spots
he won't die.
on him.
He won't die. That fish is just so bulletproof by now. He's used to it. But yeah, they live for a long time. I have heard people kept them alive for 25, 30 years.
I believe
That's
that.
a long, long time.
I mean, clownfish are the same way, but I mean, when we're talking about a tang, the fact that it's a big fish, it becomes a pet. It's no longer just a fish. And there's a weird thing with fish. The smaller they are, the less they feel like a pet.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because we have, especially Villamingis, they're very known for like, they let you grab them and pet them. And
I think we just put a short up.
Yeah, we're gonna put that short, that one as well in part of this video.
There's flamingis and there's nasos in the aquaculture side. pop up out of the water, and they keep their eyes breaching the surface so that they can actually see as you walk by.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the water is always like this. They can't see through that. If he pokes his head up out of the surface, he can actually see you.
And then let's talk a little bit about wrasses. I see a couple of them in here. I see a yellow chorus, and then I see a good old cleaner wrasse.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what do you call that? The
Leopard wrasse?
Leopard wrasse?
That's the male. And then the females right there's 2 females right there in front of the elegance. 3.
They're amazing at eating parasites. They're just keeping the tank under control, right?
Yep. So that's actually, a cool fun fact about that fish. The genus is called Macropharyngdon. Macro being small, pharynx meaning back into its jaw. And so pharyngeal jaw is that jaw that's on the inside. Just like a moray eel, it actually comes out and it grabs as opposed to the outside mouth. So it's really neat. So there's like an inner jaw, like alien, that comes out and grabs food and pulls it down its throat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's different. I never heard that before.
It's neat.
So since we're talking about wrasses, some of the wrasses that I like, a lot of people might not agree with those, but it's the 6-line wrasse.
Mm-hmm.
I always say introduce the last, but it's such a hardy fish and it's so good at keeping parasites under control.
Mm-hmm.
It's more calm wrasses. I love the cryptic 6-line.
When you talk about parasites, what are you talking about?
Flatworms for the most part, maybe some red bugs, maybe some activating flatworms if they're big enough, they're going around.
Little copepods.
Yeah, little copepods, just little activity in the tank, just things, unwanted things. Planaria predominantly, the big red planaria.
Mm-hmm.
Scooter blennies are good for that. But what I was saying, one of my favorite wrasses is cryptic 6-line, which a lot of you guys at home might never heard of it. I'm sure we can put a picture of it.
They also call them a pink streaked wrasse.
Is that what it's called, pink streak? So there's like a small version. It's super docile. It's like super friendly. It's the opposite of a 6-line wrasse. Kind of like there's also a 4-line wrasse, an 8-line wrasse, and all of those are pretty aggressive. Another fish that I like a lot, they're scooter blennies. Cheap, hardy for the most part, and what do they do all day?
Forage.
They look for live food in the reef tank, right? And they're excellent at eating planaria, and there's no secret that the industry right now has got tons of planaria. I think it's been coming from Australia, from Euphilia, and I think it's just spreading around a lot. It doesn't affect a lot the reef tank, unless they were to all just massively die. They can create a poison in the tank, right?
Mm-hmm. So people ask all the time, like, how many fish can you put in a tank? And my answer is always the same. If you do it right, you can put a ton. But it has to be the right fish. And in a tank like this, you have the ability to have linear space. That's what they want. A fish like a tang, if you think about the way that they work in the wild, they're going to guard a zone where they want to graze.
They're going to go back and forth.
They're going to fight for that right to graze that area.
Yeah.
And they do that here, and you find like different groups or different rock structures, they'll move, they'll graze, they'll kick each other out, and then they'll move to the next one, and they kick each other out, and they move to the next one.
So they take turns.
Yeah.
But going back to like I was saying, we put 10 in here, and all 10 is still here 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
All 10 of them.
So one of the reasons why I got into fish to begin with is because when I started looking at like names of fish, and I was trying to build out my own formal fish list, I got confused and I didn't know which ones could go together. And of course I tried, I failed, and that played into it too. But I decided it was time for me to take my knowledge to the next level. Instead of knowing the fish by species, I wanted to know the fish by genus. And by genus, we're knowing that fish of the same genus generally don't like to be together.
They don't.
Unless they're in a big enough environment. Put a smaller one. Or put one that's substantially bigger.
Or multiple all at once, so the attention, the aggression goes to multiples instead of one.
What you're trying to avoid is you're trying to avoid a fair fight. Because a fair fight usually ends up with one of them losing. You're trying to create an unfair advantage toward one. Because generally, if it's unfair, the little one is going to become submissive, and at least the big one realizes that the little one knows it's submissive.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about fish disease.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the most known one is ick. It's a debatable topic. Some people say it exists in the aquarium at all times. Some people say it's introduced. I'm a believer it's on the tank. If the fish gets stressed, they catch it.
Yeah. I've many times over tried to 100% keep a tank parasite free or pathogen free, whatever. But think about think about the process of introduction. You're throwing hermit crabs, you're throwing frags, you're throwing all those other things that need to be quarantined without a common host to fish for a period of time if you're going to put them in your aquarium. For us, most practical cases, that's not even realistic. You know what I mean? So our goal when we're talking about quarantine is not thorough quarantine. It's actually just isolation. Same thing Brent did with the Tucayantheus. You know, we isolate a fish until it's established. It's eating really good. It's showing all those mannerisms of coming up to the glass when you feed, foraging when you're not there, doing all the normal fish things, but getting fat. And then once it's in that environment for a while, you can almost guarantee or rule out any considerable chance of contaminating your existing aquarium.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a time thing. You know, if it's got spots on it, or it's got a little funny fin, or it's got little tears or tatters in its fins, you definitely don't move it.
In the back of the farm, in the shipping area, we have maybe, I want to say a 25-foot wall, 3 tanks high, and we have a bunch of 40-gallon breathers. I want to say maybe 25 of them. I'm just throwing a number, I don't know, 20 of them, call it whatever it is. And these are systems that we use them for quarantine, for isolation, for sick fish that they need to be separated. We drain these tanks, we bleach them from time to time. The reason why am I saying this? Whenever you go to buy a fish, it is your responsibility at your house to make sure that fish is healthy, it's been isolated, it's been under quarantine. For instance, when you go to our website and you order fish from Fish Direct, if you guys didn't know, we do sell fish from online. You see Fish Direct, when you go see that, my recommendation to you will be go buy a 20-gallon tank, buy a penguin filter, buy a heater, and buy some medicine. You don't even need a light. It is so cheap. You're talking about $100, can go a long way, guys. And then you follow instructions. There's plenty of instructions out there how to quarantine a fish.
At the end of the day, this is your hobby. That's your aquarium that you put a ton of money and time into.
Yeah.
Right? And it's your obligation to not just take a fish and throw it into your aquarium and potentially contaminate everything. If you do, that's on you.
Yes.
I mean, that's the end of the story.
Run me through a quarantine. What will it be? Copper? No? Is that something ideal or no?
It really depends on a target. So you can't just say, I want to set up a quarantine tank and medicate the fish. You don't just go to the hospital and they give you everything under the sun.
No, it's true.
You know,
so do we have any recommendations for people watching at home? Some basic, some starters. What would be for someone who doesn't want to go in the deep end and they go to a fish store, they go to our website, they go to Fish Direct, order some fish, whatever ways they got the fish, what would you recommend them?
I'm going to talk about from our perspective, which is a little bit different from, you know, the at-home use. But I can say there's 2 things that I would do to increase your chances of success. So this is not a guarantee. Copper for ectoparasite and praziquantel for any kind of worm, either internal or external. That doesn't cover everything, but your 2 main points of contention are going to be ick and they're going to be flukes. Flukes being the number 1. It's like the silent killer. Everybody worries about their fish getting ick or velvet or whatever. Look, those are real. Those are problems. But flukes are way more common than anything else.
But as a disease, will you say the velvet? Will you say velvet's a worse disease than?
Yeah, velvet takes everything out in like 48 hours or less.
I was going to say, once velvet comes in, it's pretty
3 days or less.
It's pretty bad. I would say do you see that? You're in trouble.
You can, again, so that's reactive. So if you see it, it's almost too late and you can treat that. But my point is not to talk about reactive. My point is to talk about proactive. If you've got a fish and you bought it from a fish store because you liked it, hopefully it was already eating. Hopefully it was already swimming nice.
So hold on, before you go. So the fish, if you're buying a fish, if you have the opportunity to see it in front of you, ask for someone to feed the fish.
Yeah.
If the fish is eating, chances are that fish is happy. Look at their fish behavior, their swimming behavior. Are they hiding? Are they scraping? Or are they just going and picking at the rock? If I see a tang and it's picking at the rock, that's music to my ears. Then if it picks food, that's the fish that you want to get, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you want to make sure that there's eating.
So if you're going to isolate a fish before it goes into your aquarium, you want to see it eating, you want to see it swimming, you want to see it acting like that fish that you've seen before.
Ask how long have they had that fish?
Yeah, for sure. That's probably why I would say the best tool if you go into our retail store is if you look at the sticker, that sticker has a date that it was put into our retail system. That's time that it's eating, it's time that it's being observed, it's time that it's with its other tank inhabitants. But the longer the better, good general rule of thumb. And then if you're picking it out and it's doing all those normal fish things, there's a pretty good chance that wherever you put it into isolation, you don't need to have a reactive treatment.
Gotcha.
Like freshwater dipping or formalin or anything. That's such an abrasive thing on a fish. You know, if you do, then it's far too late.
So one person that is pushing the envelope pretty good on this is Andrew Apollo Reef.
Mm-hmm.
He's got so much fish. I mean, I think that 17,000 gallon tank he's got to be the largest concentration of fish on any aquarium in the world per gallon.
He does it better than us, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. I can't think of someone who's got that much fish. And he's working with veterinarians for this fish.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing injections. So he's definitely pushing the boundaries when it comes to that. So it's nice to see. Whenever we got some issues, we try to reach out to him, try to exchange some knowledge and stuff like that. There's a couple big no-nos in the reef tanks. There was one mistake we made about 7-8 years ago. You remember the African cleaner wrasse?
Yeah, I do.
We put it on the 1500 and it started eating the SPS.
Not the 1500.
On the 500, sorry.
The 500.
We put it in the old store in the 500 gallon tank.
Yep.
And it started picking SPS, and we have to dismantle like 1/3 of the tank to get that pastor out. He's a big no-no. Look, I shouldn't be saying this. I don't like regal tanks too much on the reef tank, believe it or not. You guys see one there? When the larger they get, they become a-holes, big time. Pretty bad.
Yeah, they're spiteful.
Bad. I have seen him pick at corals. I have seen him pick at zoanthids. I have seen him picking at LPS, and the worst thing I've ever seen. I've seen him grab a yellow chromis, injure the chromis, and swimming across the tank with him like if it's a toy.
Yep.
Like if it's a whale that is bored, swim back and forth, and then releasing him, and the fish has got his back broken, goes into a power head. It was horrendous. It was like a nightmare. So he's one if you're not a pro at reefing and a pro at fish and a pro angelfish, leave 98% of the angelfish out of the reef tank. 98%.
Which ones would you put?
I will put the Guantanamo pair,
Okay.
swallowtails, right? I mean, those are. I will stick just with those personally.
Yeah.
I think that anything outside of those
That's,
Japanese swallowtails, I mean, duh.
That's all. That's all. Genus. Genicanthus.
Genicanthus, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said 98% of them. The rest, guys, unless you're someone who's been reefing for 20 years, you're hardcore, you know your fish, you know fish behavior, you've been in and out of the block, you know what's going on, then go for it. But I would say it's a big no-no. There's two things for a big no-no on a reef tank. Fish that they're like, you can put certain triggers on a reef tank, they're gonna literally break your corals, they're gonna push rocks around. And then there's reef safe triggers. And when I mean reef safe to corals, but maybe not other fish.
Or inverts.
Inverts, certain starfish. So there's 3 levels. There's 100% reef safe fish. There's reef safe with caution, and there's totally non-reef safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I call it the caution is in between, because you have to make, like for instance, if you got a bunch of asterinas, first thing someone's gonna tell you, hey, go get a harlequin shrimp. First thing I'm gonna ask you, what kind of fish you have in there? Do you have a big hawkfish in there?
Yeah,
Hawkfish, they might not look like they can eat a shrimp, but let me tell you something. They can eat a fish their size, right or wrong?
A shrimp? Yeah.
A shrimp, right? I mean,
yeah.
So there's just one example there. So there's many things to consider. So any other big no-no you have?
As much as I absolutely adore the fish, the Morris idol. I mean, I think they're incredible, but I've never been able to do it without them eating every coral that we have.
For real?
Yep.
Why you put that in my mind? Because I always want one of those.
I love that fish.
I
think it's a gorgeous fish.
So you don't think we can put one in here? We'll get pounded, huh?
Absolutely not. No way. Everybody.
How about the poor man's Morris idol?
The Heniocus, that's even worse. That's even worse.
Okay, foul fish. Big no-no. I'm sorry.
Which one?
The Daptasia eating foul fish.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you sure it's gonna eat coral? I'm laying. Let me tell you, he will eat your Majanos, your Mahanos. He will eat your Aptasia and whatever else is around once he gets hungry. He will take chunks out of your torches. You might like, oh, he's not eating my torches. One day you come back from work, the torch will be gone. It'll be floating around through the tank.
I'm thinking mostly, that's a good one, because I'm thinking mostly fish that people try to do that everybody says are reef safe, they're really not. The morsidal, the harlequin filefish, the leather jacket, or the aptasia file. Lastly, and I've had this argument more times than I can count because so many people love them, all dwarf angels. I have seen more tanks that people just cannot figure out why their corals don't look good, but they swear to me up and down that their flame or their coral beauty is not touching their corals. Man, centropygy for me is like a big hard no. They always eat coral.
Gotcha.
Even SPS, like nipping the polyps right out of the coralite. All right, so these questions are coming from our viewers. The question is, do we use copper and UV in our fish system? Yes, 100%. So we use copper, and it goes in varying intensities of therapeutic levels. So there's times where it's like 0.18, there's times where it's 0.2, there's times where it's 0.25. That's just our attempt to not create a resistant strain of parasite. But yeah, so we always keep copper. We rotate different different intervals of Prazi. And then we also run on our main fish system 300 watts of UV.
You know what? I've never been able to answer that. I've seen it before with the hose bubble tips. It's not often, you know, but it seems to me like a clownfish is going to host anything that he feels comfortable with. I've seen him host many different things. I have seen him host torches, conipores, mushrooms, hammer corals. What else, Josh? I mean, seriously. Elegance.
Anything that moves, anything that's plush.
Yeah, I've seen him in a trachea before.
So the question was, I have a clownfish and an anemone, and I can't seem to get it to host. You can't make a fish do what you want it to do. I mean, this is like reef keeping 101. Just because we want something doesn't mean that it's a reality.
With bubble thing is hard. I'm saying if you want something to host, you can do it easier with that carpet anemone.
There's compatibility factors there, like what their natural host is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But most of the time, if you've got a bubble tip and an ocellaris or a percula type clown, it's not going to happen, especially in the first month. That's going to take time. So my suggestion there is literally just wait it out. There's different tricks like putting a picture on the glass or whatever. But look, this tank, I don't know how many square feet of surface area do you think this tank is?
100 plus.
Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity. And we had a little teeny tiny Colorado sunburst all the way over here. Now it's this big around.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, those two clownfish back there, they lived on the mangrove roots back there, and they never left it. Not exactly an ideal host. It doesn't look like an anemone. It's not soft and fluffy, and it's not moving around, but they hosted the mangrove root. Now, after probably 2 years of that anemone being
they're happy there.
Yeah, they're in it.
You say that, you know.
But it just took time.
So it happens. It's not often, but when it happens, it's got to happen on its own.
Yep.
Anything you try to force is just not going to be like it. But if to answer that again, there you can get a long tentacle anemone. It's most likely to host more than a bubble tip, and a carpet anemone is most likely to host as well.
So if you're really looking for that host factor,
maroon clown. Yeah,
maroon clowns are really good, but they're big compared to most anemones, and they're aggressive on the anemone.
That's a big no-no fish. Maroon clowns, keep those things out of your reef tank. They will go after your fingers. So you know what? I'm sorry. Real quick, going back to that topic. The purple dotty bag. There's the yellow with the purple. What's the name of that one?
The Splendid.
Oh,
no, you're talking about like the Sunrise or the Diadema.
Yeah. All of those fish, the dotty bags, they're beautiful fish, but
I love them. I think they're awesome.
But they're assholes, man.
I know, but they don't maliciously go out and kill every fish in your tank.
They're picking at your fish, your finger. They're picking at your fingers. The clown tank will literally grab your finger like they make you bleed, right? He's laughing. That's a big no-no fish. Maroon clowns. At least we leave it as that one.
But if you're looking for a hosting type clown, one that you're just going to gain instant success with, the skunk clowns are almost always going to host, like almost straight away. Any kind of Clarky complex, so that really tall body, like the tomato, the fire clowns, the Clarky, the lats, all those, they're going to do really good when it comes to host. You mentioned the maroons, that's a really good one. But if it's not your conventional clown like a percula or an ocellaris, it's going to host better than your traditional Nemo.
There you go.
Okay, adding 3 tangs to an SPS dominant tank. What's your 3?
I'm gonna do Tomini.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a yellow eye coal and a yellow tang. When I got those 3, they just seem to keep the Reef tank under control. I don't know why. Or maybe if you don't want to get the yellow eye coal because it's too similar to in the same family as the Tomini, maybe an aso. Recently we were having a little debate. They're really good at eating. What do we call that black algae?
I don't know. It's just like algae? A plating algae. We call it wafer algae. We call it plating algae.
Whatever we call it, wafer algae is this shiny thing that if you grab it with your nail, you can scratch.
It's like a hard black.
Yeah, and you can scratch it. And we noticed that the nasal tanks are really good at eating that. So somewhere in there, a nasal is good. It's pretty docile. The yellow, Tomini, yellow eye coal, somewhere within the reason for that, they're always available. They're hardy. They don't get sick most of the time. They're fish that they're able to just get by with ease in the tank. What will be your 3?
My 3? I'm going to go, if the tank is big enough, I'm going to go with a convict.
All right.
I'm going to go with a clown tang.
Oof.
And I'm going to go with a zebra soma. Let's say a black scopus.
Black scopus.
The convict is like no other.
Gotcha. Convict, again, you got to make sure that you keep that algae clip every single day there because those fish will clean your tank fast. Tips to keep a hooded butterfly, someone's asking.
So that is the Larvatus butterfly out of the Red Sea. So
we don't have a lot of experience with that, do we?
We have 0 experience because its entire existence is eating coral. You gotta have the right dietary needs for that fish. That is literally the entire format that I would say. Diet. Yeah, if you don't have its diet down, then it's not going to live. Gotcha. And you know, like you're saying, if you generalize by saying most butterflies, yeah, they have to settle in and eat well. So you're not going to be able to apply one size fits all to the butterfly fish group. But you can try to say, well, it responds visually to a certain type or movement of food. Gotcha. And then continue to do that over and over and over again until you get it to really take eating. But aside from that, it's always dietary.
What is the smallest tank in the whole hobby?
Smallest
wow, that's a really good question.
All Tunicatus.
I'm not talking
between a Tomini and a coal tang, the Tomini is the smallest.
So Tomini, I mean, guys, it's a good question.
There he is. Look at the size of that one. That's a bristle-tooth as well. But he's twice the size of that Tomini.
It's a good question, but I think there's not really a small tank. However, some of the ones that you can get from the hobby is small enough. Tang raised yellow tangs, purple tangs, small ones. I've seen them like the size of a nickel before.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen them tiny. Cell fins, they come tiny like that. They're pretty cool. They're pretty cute when you see them that small. Well, guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. If you guys got more questions, if you guys feel like there's something that we didn't cover, if there's enough questions on this video, we'll be glad to sit down again and just cover more fish with those specific questions. On the meantime, guys, help us out. Subscribe to our channel. Leave some comments. Give us a thumbs up. We'll see you guys on the next episode. See you guys.